welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy Card Chats, and today we're going to be talking about what's going on with the rare card market in Final Fantasy TCG. Now, today's mindless task is I bought a small lot of cards from this vendor in Australia. Shout out to them, I think they're called Gabranth Games. Awesome guys. I've made several purchases from them, actually. I've worked with a guy called Jason, I think. Highly recommend these guys if you guys need any Final Fantasy cards. So basically, again, my last video, I kind of talked about how to get Wave 1 cards, how a lot of them aren't listed, and you have to talk directly to the vendors to kind of see what they have. And this is kind of a stock of what the guy at Gabranth Games had available. So kind of, proving that my talks are legit. I do practice what I preach. So today I'm just kind of going to be assessing these cards like normal, making sure everything that I bought in the order is in here, and that the cards are in good condition, which I'm sure they will be because I bought from this guy before. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about what's going on in the Final Fantasy TCG card market. And I think there's a few very interesting things going on, actually, because I've kind of been watching this market for a while. Maybe some of you have as well. But the heavy hitters that I usually look at are obviously Wave 1 foils. But again, that's not the best indicator for the market because there's not that many out there. The better kind of indicator are the well-known rare promos. What am I talking about with that? I mainly mean Cloud A001 and Gabranth 30th anniversary promo. Now, if you watch my other videos, I kind of mentioned to you guys that all the other promos are basically junk, aren't even worth the paper that they're printed on. So all the kind of prize promos, there are just so many of them. I would not be surprised if there are more prize promos in print than actual foils from just like a regular Opus set. So like a random Opus 3 foil, I think, probably has a lower print run than some of these promo cards. I think the heaviest offenders are, if you ever look at like the old alternate art promos like Golbez and whatever, Kane and all that stuff, there's just so many of them. Like you can't get more than like 10 cents for those promos because there's literally vendors with just hundreds of thousands of them trying to get rid of them. So it's kind of funny to see people charging like $5 to $10 for those because they're literally not worth the paper they're printed on. But then you have the legit good promos, and by good I mean rare, Cloud A001 and Gabranth 30th anniversary. And those are the ones in my other videos where I kind of talk about how they had definitely low print run. So the Cloud, I'm actually not sure. Some people have told me that they think the Cloud has a high print run. I don't necessarily believe it because if it was true, there'd be more of them on the market, right? But for the Gabranth, I definitely know that the print run is between 5 and 10,000. A lot of people have said it's only 5,000. I've seen a lot of listings claim that. Even Guide Card Cavern says that. But I have never been shown any official source for that information, so I can't be 100% sure. But I have it on good authority that the number is 5 to 10,000. I talked to Mr. Foils. I think I shared the story previously where he actually said a couple thousand of them were actually stolen from an event, which I thought was pretty funny, but apparently made a splash in the FF TCG community. So going back to what I see going on in the card market, the reason I mentioned those two cards is because when collectors come into the Final Fantasy TCG scene, they right away want to scoop up the rare cards. It makes sense, right? Like if you want to join a collecting scene, get the hardest cards first because the less rare cards will be available for a longer time. You can wait till you get your next paycheck, but you want to make sure that you get the rare cards first before the price gets to a point where you can't afford it. In 1990, or not 2000, I could have afforded the $500 to $800 for a Black Lotus. Now, I mean, I might be able to afford it, but I'm not willing to blow $100,000 on a single Black Lotus where the value might tank at any time. I'm not willing to take that level of risk. But for people, if they believe that Cloud A001 is the Black Lotus of Final Fantasy, $80 is really not that much to spend. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because what I'm noticing right now in the FFTCG market is that those cards are drying up. Now, if you've kind of been in the market for a Cloud A001 and watching kind of like eBay and those listings, what you might have seen is that for a long time there was a guy, I think his name is Strife, selling, he had like, I don't know, must have been like 10, 20, 30 Cloud A001 promos sitting on eBay for the better part of like a year. And I think he was charging, I think it was something like $100 each. So not terrible, but they were just sitting there for the longest time. But now I just noticed that that entire stock he had has dried up. And now if you look on eBay, the only Cloud A001s are a black label Japanese one, which I don't care about, sitting at like $3,000, a BGS 9.5 that's been there for like $500. And mark my words, I think that's going to be sold at some point. I think at that price, someone will take it. And I think that will kind of make waves and setting a new precedent for FFTCG cards. For the record, a BGS 10 Cloud A001 promo has already sold for over $400. So the precedent is already set. If you have a perfect condition graded Cloud A001, the market has already shown that it's willing to absorb prices of $400+. Someone out there was already willing to pay that price for a Cloud A001. That's not an opinion anymore, it's a fact. Someone bought it. You can look it up on eBay and see the recently sold listings, and you'll see that it's there. So the key point of that is that when FFTCG came out, like there was a big bang, and then kind of the demand kind of started dying off, and there were kind of these talks of people saying, "Oh, is FFTCG dying now?" Maybe, like if you look just at the LGS scene, you would think that because there aren't always that many people playing. But if you look at the collectibles market, like I always am, I have to say anything but. Like, to me, there's no sign whatsoever that the card game is dying. If anything, it's expanding because all of these rare cards that, I did videos on, like the 10 rarest cards in FFTCG. If the game is dying, why are people scooping them up and why aren't more people dumping them? Like, let's say that, you had a bunch of, I don't freaking care, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something, and you had it on good authority or you strongly felt that the card game was going to die. Wouldn't the first thing you do is sell out of it before the market crashed? I mean, look at what happened to Bitcoin. It was just skyrocketing up and up and up and up and up. And as soon as people started saying, hey, maybe it's a scam, maybe Tether's not real, whatever it was, zoop, straight down. And all the people who kind of got out in those middle tiers, they made a profit. And the people who are, if you got into Bitcoin really early, you still made a killing. But right now it's like 3,500 or something, a long way down from the peak of, I think it was like almost 20 grand at one point. But the point is, if you think FFTCG is dying, if it is actually dying, why aren't more clouds on eBay for $50 to $100? Why aren't people dumping them? Why are they just being snatched up? Like, I saw a really good deal recently for a cloud promo. Some guy was selling 3 of them for like $60 each. I went to buy it, and then immediately someone had bought all 3, and I was like, what the hell? Like, so I guarantee you right now, if you put a Cloud A001 on eBay in near mint or better condition for $100, it will sell within a week. And that was not the case 6 months ago. 6 months ago, you could probably pick it up for, if you got a really good deal, like $30. If you want to just buy it off eBay, you could probably pick it up easily for $60 to $70. And then if you were really desperate, you could buy from the Australian guy who kind of had high prices on everything. And you would still get it with no effort for maybe like $100. So it kind of goes to show you, just spat on one of my cards, kind of goes to show you that the prices are going up. The other card that I want to talk about is the Gabranth 30th anniversary promo. Remember that card? For the longest time, even going back recently as November, they were selling on eBay for $30. Now I'm noticing on eBay, they're all selling for 70 plus. Some guy was listing them for like 100, and guess what? They sold. So what the hell's going on? The prices of all these cards are going up. And I'm telling you, as more players start coming into the card game, they're only going to go higher. Like, people think I'm crazy. Like, they see me buying all these Final Fantasy TCG foils. They think I'm nuts, and I am kind of nuts. But at the same time, there's some method to this madness. I'm not doing this just on a whim. Like, I actually think these cards will be worth something. Otherwise, I wouldn't be stocking up on them. And, time will tell. Again, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again in my lifetime. But this time I feel like, I don't know. I think the math is there to show that these cards will be worth maybe not a ton, but a decent amount of money one day. I mean, think about it right now. Even for Magic the Gathering, even alpha commons and like regular alpha rares, they're all like in the $100 range if they're in mint condition. It's actually kind of crazy how profitable Magic cards were if you got in early enough. So another thing I want to note is if you look at some of the listings on eBay for Wave 1 cards, the collectors are there. I told you guys that people are going to want to collect these cards. I told you guys that these cards are going to go up in value. Check the eBay sold listings. Remember that Squall that was sitting there from the same guy? I think his name is Stripe. The Squall and the Ramza. The guy had the Squall listed for like $430 and the Ramza for like 200 AU, which I think is like 150 US dollars. And guess what? They sold. They sold. So yeah, I mean, the problem is that if you want these cards, you just cannot find them. So yeah, I mean, people are thinking like, should I really be spending $400 on a card? I mean, in almost any case, the answer is almost always no, right? But if you really want to complete a Wave 1 set, for a lot of the people who are fans of Final Fantasy, the people who grew up on Final Fantasy 7, 6, 5, like me, like we have the disposable income where $500, it's a lot of money. At the same time, it's not that much money. Like, if you're a true fan of the game, you might be willing to spend that amount on a stupid piece of cardboard. The evidence? Check the eBay sold listings. It's already happening. So anyways, I probably put like eBay images throughout this video to kind of prove what I'm saying. But I hope this kind of shows you why I've been investing in these cards, kind of a little insight into what's going on in the FF TCG card market. I've been talking to some Magic the Gathering people who are kind of got interested in my videos. I have one guy who I guess follows some guy Alpha Investments, and he was kind of curious about if FF TCG has kind of like an investment community. It doesn't, of course, but except maybe me. But if you are a fan of collecting cards, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy and you want to learn more about why I'm doing the things that I'm doing or have any general questions about this card game, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed another completely pointless FF TCG card chat. Thanks for listening, and have a good night, guys.